everyone. Welcome to another Something Bad Thursday, and today I thought it would be interesting to briefly talk about something that I've been noticing that is sort of, I guess, a trend. Um, at least I would say more so online and in the way in which people conduct themselves online. And that has to do with getting very overly emotional almost. And again, this is not to say that um, certain things that are very serious and um, have a lot of importance to people, I can understand getting a little bit overly emotional about that. But it seems like that nowadays everything seems to be a overly emotional ordeal, and oftentimes we have to find a means to express it, and oftentimes that is done through social media. And you'll sort of see how people get really riled up about things. They'll really pour out their expression about something onto the internet. And usually I like to keep my emotions kind of subdued uh, on the internet, only because I personally don't like expressing my emotions so much online. More so, I like to express opinions and ideas, but I don't like to try to be very over exaggerative about things and get all riled up and angry over something. Usually, I like to speak in a very calm and, uh, uh, easygoing manner. I think that just allows for my words and my ideas to flow a lot more rationally, I think. But it seems like nowadays there's a lot of emphasis on that emotional part of the human brain, to where we're constantly expressing what we feel online. And doing so, and again, I think a very over exaggerated way. Now, again, I'm not saying that this is bad in all instances, but I've seen oftentimes this taking a sort of negative turn when people really openly express themselves in a way that's, again, it's so over exaggerated um, and so riled up that it kind of, it just kind of comes off, I think, too strongly. And again, you get different reactions from people, and um, oftentimes I think a lot of the emotional stuff, and at least when people are trying to be sort of over emotional, they're sort of seeking some kind of attention and whatnot, or some kind of uh, approval from people and justification for how they feel. Um, And again, I can understand people trying to find that with very serious issues going on within life. But, when you're just talking about things that really ultimately it's nothing to really get so upset over or so riled up over. You just kind of go, couldn't you, just express it in a different way, and in a way that doesn't really put a dead term put a huge emphasis on trying to over exaggerate everything. um, and it again, almost right when you go into any kind of social media platform, you oftentimes notice how somebody is sort of feeling at a moment by what they are sort of talking about. Um, and it's kind of odd in certain ways, because again, you're expressing yourself to all of these people whom you may not necessarily really know, and you know all of this really has a lot of, I think, sometimes they can be, I think, bad implications. And you'll often see how people have different reactions to how people emotionally feel about a certain thing. And then some people will get mad that you don't uh, agree with what they're feeling, or you don't understand where they're even really coming from, and again, what I am talking about is merely more so petty things, like people just riling up over petty nonsense, and trying to make a big ordeal out of something when it really isn't that big of a deal. And you and then you get and again, this is both positive and negative emotions. You get people that are really angry and overly aggressive, and then you also get people who are constantly telling people, "Oh, I am in love," and blah blah blah, and let me pour out all of these emotional, inspirational type stuff. And sometimes it's nice to have that energy, and it's nice to see uh, constructive criticism, but it seems like that they're sort of, I think what's unfortunate is that the internet sort of succumbs to either one of the extremes. And so again, it's all based within, again, being overly emotional. It's not about being emotional. It's more so about being just so overly emotional to the point where, you are just saying all of these things out there, pouring everything out there, and really not giving much thought or understanding behind what you are sharing or saying really to people. So I think, again, that's kind of my uh, that's kind of where I think the negativity of this comes from. It's not by being emotional, it's by being overly emotional. And then also people too in real life, they'll get mad over certain things, and it's, oh, if oh, you can't say that, that hurts my feelings, or you, what you're doing is wrong, and blah 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 blah. And the thing is you're always going to have people who are going to have emotional reactions to things that you're not going to agree with, and you just deal with it. I mean, it's just a part of life. You're never going to get rid of people who have these different mindsets than you do. So I think obviously the best thing to do is just, again, just have emotions. That's important, I think. And I think it's important for people in general to express emotions. Again, we obviously express them in different ways, but I just think this huge emphasis on being very uh, overly emotional to the point of being, just being so in your face, that it just makes you take a step backwards a little bit. It's really just one of those things where I think, due to our ability to communicate now more easily, I think it has allowed for these kinds of tensions to sort of rise, and for people to kind of get these emotions out by displaying them online or displaying them in real life. But again, not doing it in a way that's productive and is in more ways counterproductive. So I think that's just my honest thoughts, though. I'd be more than happy to hear what anybody else has to say in regards to this particular issue, but I think there is a sense of, just trying to um, pour your um, self out there. And I think oftentimes people can get too emotionally fixated, and in doing so, put a huge emphasis on it instead of just expressing them in a very calm and reasonable way. Um, and again, this is not just online, this is also in real life too. But again, that's just my honest thoughts, and I think balance really is again a big key to parts of life, and clearly here I think going to these kinds of extremes as far as emotions are concerned can result in, I think, a lot more negative uh, energy among people, and not create a real genuine dialogue. But that's just my honest thoughts. be more than happy to hear what anybody else has to say. But I think that's really ultimately all I can say for this particular topic. I will be back on Sunday, so feel free to check out videos then. Again, so and the Friday's video as well as Saturday's video will be delayed. I almost am certain that I will be back on Sunday. I should be, so I will be able to upload for sure on Sunday. But if something changes, I'll always catch up. Don't worry. I'm not going anywhere. But until next time, everybody, bye-bye.